Hello everyone, BaBenche here. GTX 285 was the most powerful GPU of 2009. That GPU was released in 2008, December 23. But only on January 15 of the new 2009 year, sales has started. GTX 285 is made on 55nm TSMC lithography. GPU counts 240 CUDA cores. That is not that much for a top-tier GPU. If we look closely at the GTX 200 series, mid-tier GTX 250 has 128 CUDA cores. Launch price was $355. With today inflation, that number rises to $526. 1 GB VRAM, GDDR3 on 512-bit memory bus. Power consumption 204 watts. GPU requires two 6-pin connectors. I am again playing with fire and using a Molex 2 6-pin converter to power up the second 6-pin. Gigabyte Turbo version with sexy chick on front panel. It's sad that today GPU manufacturers don't make GPU with that kind of design anymore. I brought it used here in Lithuania. I found offer for 15 euros. And of course, before benchmarks, I disassembled the GPU and flushed the heatsink underwater and dried it with higher dryer to make the drying process faster. Unfortunately, I damaged the edges of one bolt and cannot remove the turbo fan, so I just cleaned it with paper only. Testing system. Last driver that supports this GPU released in November 2015. CPU i5 3570K, 3 SSDs for games. Full PC specs on the screen. CPU-Z and GPU-Z of the system. Powerfull 2, 1080p, very high settings, 8x MSAA. All the time we see 100 plus FPS. In some moments FPS drops lower than 100, but not frequently. Spoiler: all first source games run well on that GPU. Mafia II, 1080p, high settings, 50-60 FPS. Some effects like explosions, dust from the bullets or massive battle scenes can lead to FPS drops. We should not forget that 1080p resolution was not that popular back in the 2011, the year of release Mafia II. But can it run Crysis? First I tried on very high settings and 8x MSAA. But unfortunately, FPS was way away from playable, 25 cinematic frames per second. After setting MSAA for 4x, game still ran not perfectly, but at least FPS reaching 30, in some less demanding areas even more than 40. Metro 2033 1080p high settings preset. Before I never played Metro 2033, but I can say that graphics look similar to Crysis, but the situation with FPS is a little bit better. In most locations I have 40-50 FPS. Here, for example, FPS drops because of lighting effects. That means outside FPS gonna be lower. While testing, I didn't notice that I forgot to change GPU fan speed to auto, and GPU temp reached 101 degrees. Shit! That GPU doesn't have any temp limits. 1000 likes on this video and I'm gonna to fry that GPU to death. But with normal fan speed, temps under load is about 80 degrees. BioShock Infinite 1080p high settings. On this GPU, several settings cannot be set to higher than normal, unlike newer cards. Further in the video, I will explain why. BioShock runs okay. Of course, from a top GPU of 2009 in the 2013 game, you expect way better performance. Besides drops to 30-40 FPS, it can reach even 60. You can easily complete all game. GTA 5 1080p lowest settings. GPU is underloaded, but definitely not caused by underperformed CPU. Frame time graph has many peaks, FPS inconsistent and choppy, about 40-50 FPS, with drops to 30 in some places with vegetation. This GPU underload makes a buzzing sound. I think it's caused by GPU chokes, because that sound is audible only under load, and it's not caused by the fan. And no buzzing sound is detected. So let me explain what is going on here with graphics settings. GTX 285 supports shader model 4.0. In other words, fully supports only DirectX 10. Why MSI Afterburner shows DX11, I don't know. But in GTA 5 graphics settings, we clearly see that DirectX version is set to 10, and I can't change it. Metro 2033 supports DirectX 11 and 10, and even 9. So some graphical effects only work on 11 DirectX. Same shit with BioShock Infinite, Tomb Raider 2013 and other games with multi-API support. Crysis, Portal 2, Mafia II works as it should, because they run on fully supportable API versions. But I run one exclusive DirectX 11 title that worked on GTX 285. It's Dishonored 2. GPU usage is literally zero, and the game doesn't use GPU VRAM at all. It may sound crazy, but my guess is that game was fully running on CPU power, without GPU acceleration. And it's possible to do in any game, on any CPU. It's called software rasterization or software render. Long time ago, then graphics card was capable for only image output. Games had setting for choosing between software render or OpenGL. Today we can do the same thing by running games on iGPU with deleted drivers and only in image output mode. In this mode, the game can utilize barely all cores of i9-9900K, but performance 60 frames per minute. What is the situation with relatively new games? They simply won't start, due to the fact that they only support DirectX 11. Fun fact: GTX 285 is the most powerful DirectX 10 GPU. Next-gen top-tier GTX 480 was released in 2010 and fully supports DirectX 11. Just imagine, in 2009 you spent a lot of money on a new top-tier GPU, and after 6-7 years it's become brick, because it basically doesn't run that game that you want. I think this is the worst GPU in terms of lifespan. But for me, this is a good collector's item. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed my video, subscribe and leave a like. See you next time!